Hello and welcome to episode 125 of the Permaculture Vine podcast. Is our live stream with Permaculture Canada. Welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you. Hello.
Just a preface is we are having some technical difficulties, but hopefully it doesn't affect us too much.
Yeah, that's always going to be a thing, right? As long as we're on this kind of technology. I used to call it Technology Productions. That was one of my first companies.
Yeah, no, it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
So, how have you been, Lindsay? How's things?
Yeah, busy, and that's nothing normal, but I'm definitely going through a different sense of busyness in terms of a big transition in life. I'm moving from Calgary, Alberta. I've been raising kids here for 23 years, and they are all grown up and out of the house. So it's time for me to stop renting in the house in the city, and I'm going to be moving out into a school bus in Golden, BC.
Class
Yeah,
stuff. Do you want to tell us how that came about and what's happening with it?
yeah, really like the travel that I did over winter with my partner. We went to 6 different countries across Central America over winter, knowing that we don't want to do snow anymore. So we're really looking for places to land when the snow is flying in Canada. But we also want to have home here because we also have families here and kids and whatnot. So our journey to find out where we want to land is what's driving a lot of our travels. And then realizing that while I was gone, the overhead of having to keep a house here in the city while traveling was huge. And then going back home after being in a lot of very poor places in Central America, it was really strange to be waking up in this 3 bedroom house with my kids gone. I'm the only person in the house. And I just thought, this is too much. This is beyond what I need, and it just didn't feel right. And so I knew I needed to downsize, but also staying in the city didn't feel right either. So I needed to make the change towards a lifestyle that I wanted to wake up to every day. And that means getting out of the city and getting away from the noise and getting away from just the hustle and bustle and everything that the city is about. I don't really have purpose here anymore as much as I would to be in the woods. Really, I need to be getting my hands in the earth, my feet on the ground, get away from all these 90-degree angles, get away from all the systems and the regular routines that I've been so accustomed to live with. So yeah, that's a bit about what was the driving factor. A lot of it was cost and lifestyle, and just at a really big transition point in my life as well. Not raising the kids anymore now that they're adults. So, where do I want to be now for this next stage of life? And what do I want life to look like? And really, that leads me to a simpler life, more connected to the land, and somewhere where I can have that quiet to really like tune into where I'd like to direct my energies, what I want coming in, what I want going out, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so you're going from the city, kids, uh, yoga instruction, permaculture design, all the things you have in your life. You're a musician,
Yeah.
and now it's time just to slow down a bit,
Right?
or not slow down. You just find a more peaceful space. Is it?
Yeah, a refined space because you're right. I have all these different parts of myself and I'd like to explore the creative bits more. I want to be doing more art. I want to be creating more music, improvising with other artists, having the time and the space to do so also. I always had a big music studio in Calgary, but I'd only really tap into it in the evenings, occasionally here and there. So I want to spend more time, working on that craft, working on my music, working on my songwriting, painting, painting this bus. We got VR headsets. I want to take my sketches and project them onto the bus and just really expand the way that I've been showing up with my arts, because I'm an illustrator, I'm a sculptor as well. So having the ability to build sculptures in the woods is really exciting. Do massive murals all over the sea cans that are all over the land is really exciting to me. So just being able to get out really more into my feminine nature. I'm quite a masculine woman, I'd say, and that's kind of been something that I've had to do, raising kids on my own in the city. A lot of my lifestyle has been really directed towards, doing it all on my own. So going out to live in community and slow down and be more creative, I feel like these are all going to be things that I can tap into, that more feminine part of myself, the more creative part of myself, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, it's I think too it's good that you've done it. It's an example if you can do it at any time as well. In case people think that no, they're stuck in this, that like life changes. So you have different stages of life. So your kids are up and out,
Mhm.
and people shouldn't get stressed out about their current situation. Say, oh, I have no land, I can't do things. But there's no opportunities will present themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea of land ownership, I think that's really morphing for a lot of people. Do we actually need to own the land, or can we steward the land? Can we work together to steward land instead of, oh, I purchased this title and I own this and I can do whatever I want? And, I think there's a lot of myth around that as well. I think there's a lot of illusion around land ownership. So I'm really excited about the prospect of, and I'm doing this in a number of areas, is exploring what it means to steward land, inhabit land, and what can that look like, and how can we create relationships and agreements with people that are more customized for what both parties need. So we can work with bartering systems, we can work with trade, we can work with our skills. There's a lot of different ways that we can start to work together to get things done. It's more important now than ever. It's harder to hire somebody and pay them to do something. If you have a big group of passionate friends, I think you can get the work done a lot quicker, a lot cheaper, and a lot more enjoyable as well, because a lot of people are really craving that connectivity. And you say, yeah, you can do this at any point in your life. It's interesting how many people I talk to when I tell them what I'm up to. They're like, you're living my dream. Oh, I want to do that. What? You're going to live in a school bus? That's amazing. They're excited. There's also the latter, right? They say, what? You've got this great place. Um, what are you doing? You're crazy. You're gonna go live in a school bus? Like, what a downgrade, right? So I have both of these perspectives coming at me all the time. It's pretty interesting to see how people's perspectives are really sculpted by their belief systems. Even my own. Like when I think about, sometimes I wake up and I think, am I crazy? Like I am leaving this beautiful 3-bedroom house and, I've got my piano in this beautiful room and a pond in the backyard. And how nice is that? To, I don't have a bathroom. I'm not going to have a shower. I'm giving up a lot of creature comforts to take a risk and jump into this lifestyle.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. It's I've recently decluttered a lot. I'd be a bit of a hoarder. And it is a release once you get rid of all this stuff. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to be paying the rent anymore or maintaining things, storing things, looking after things, keeping them nice. So much energy goes into that. I
Yeah,
think there's something to be said about jumping on a bus and driving off into the sunset.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I did, I have a pretty big instrument collection, so I am waiting to build that studio someday to have a yurt full of all the instruments, sound recording studio. So every penny I've ever earned with my music and my performing, I've put back into more instruments and more performance equipment and things like that, microphones and props for dancing and all of that sort of thing. So I still have some belongings I did need to keep. I did sell, I'd say probably 70% of my belongings though in the process. So that was a good solid 3 months of Facebook Marketplace. It's like a full-time job managing all those phone calls and people, right, bailing and staying home for nothing. And it wasn't as easy, negotiating with everybody and everyone's trying to lowball you. And I did end up getting a 20-foot sea can. So I could have seasonal clothing in there and all that sort of thing. It's right by the airport. So I'll be able to, as I come into town, I can stop there when I need to, change over seasonal things if I need to, and grab equipment, drop equipment off. But it's a pretty low overhead compared to what I was coming from. Absolutely. That's a huge bonus, right? I'm looking at what was the cost of all the things that I won't have, right? Property, tax or insurance, renter's insurance, the power bill, the gas bill, because I'm fully off grid. There's not going to be any of that. And then there's even more. I was starting to write a list before we got on this call to think about that. What are all these extra costs? A lot less gas or diesel because I won't be driving around the city every day with all the conveniences that are at hand. I won't need to pay for an internet bill. I'll just hotspot off my phone. So I'll be running all solar power. We can talk a little bit about that too, if you like, and have a cooler here, and I'll be getting a hot water on demand. So those are my main systems that I had to source to make the jump.
Yeah, no, it would be interesting to get into the systems there. But sort of, it's something I always look at the van life and I think that would be nice. But it's lining things up. You mentioned sea cans there. So I think I've seen there's a project, and what they did was they built a workshop in a sea can.
Yeah.
So it's a shipping container, we call it. So they built a workshop in a shipping container and then when they moved to the land, then they just moved the shipping container. So I was like, I thought of building these different shipping containers. Like you could have your music studio in a shipping container, build it, and then whenever you land, you just ship it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that'll be one of the first things we do once we've decided. I'm taking a year in the school bus on the land where we're going to be with the land to make a decision where I really want to plant the school bus for good and where we want to build an earth ship eventually is the idea. And hopefully we'll be starting that next year. So just being able to spend some time first to decide, there's different pieces around the property. So finding out, observing the land is the best thing to do, of course, from a permaculture perspective too, right? Just getting to know it before really planting ourselves. And then we will get 2 sea cans, like you say, and get one of those big Quonset type roof covers so that we have a workshop space. So that'll be kind of the first, then we can stop renting our sea cans as well and just purchase sea cans and turn them into his and hers workshop spaces, essentially.
His and her studios.
Yeah, his and hers, and then you got the rooftop overhead so that we can park the school bus then underneath there because we're going to be gone in the winters. So we want to be able to have our vehicles covered while we're traveling in the warm places as the snow flies, because Golden's a pretty snowy place.
So, tell us about the bus.
Yeah, well, and I know you have just a lot of listeners, but you can see I'm in the bus right now. I wanted to kind of show it's just full of our belongings right now. It's getting towed on Saturday. It's a pretty big international. I think it was 25 feet. I'm not too sure how many feet. I can't remember, but it's a full-size school bus and it's fully camperized already. So we have the water is plumbed in, but I still have to get the hot water on demand. So I'm going to get a propane unit by Julco. That's coming on the 18th. The water situation, we're going to be getting water off the land. There's creeks on the land, and then they also have their own wells there as well. So I'll be capturing and storing water in a larger unit that will tap into this one. The we don't have a bathroom in here. So there's like a cubicle where I could put a bucket and a toilet seat if I don't want to go outside. But other than that, that'll be probably my first order of business. Part of the pun is to build like the 3-stage composter, which then I'll be dumping buckets into. So fortunately, there already is like a little bit of that kind of going. There is a box with a seat on it at one of the spots I'm looking at. So that's a start. I've got all the sawdust in the world out there. And then having a shelter will be important once the rain starts falling, right? Going outside onto this composting toilet, having it covered would be handy. I don't mind it wide open in the open air, but a wet, cold toilet seat in the middle of the night doesn't sound very appealing to me. Maybe I'll
No.
tough it up over time. We'll see.
I- I'd rather, I'd rather have a bucket in the bus and just empty it in the morning.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a little like water closet, we'll call it. Right now, it's just empty. It doesn't have anything in it. So we have a full-size fridge, which we're not going to use because that's a really big power draw. But we are keeping the fridge in here anyways for now. It's going to be storing all our dry food and our dishes so that we have like a good storage unit space. It's still a workable fridge, so we could sell it later on down the road, but for now it's just sitting there. Farther down, there used to be 2 bunk beds, and I had my friend James from Done With Love Renovations come out. Thank you, James. And he made a stand-up desk for me. So it's now a 2-layer. The lower layer has all my bins for clothing, and then the upper layer is going to be a stand-up desk. And I have a stool if I want to sit down, but I tend to like to stand. And then he popped out some of the windows, so when there was bunk beds there, he had built over the windows. So I had him take that down so that we can get a lot more natural light in. And then my friend Devin, who goes by Filthy Erratic or Blackthorn, shout out to Devin, he came and he made a bed frame for a new mattress. And then there's space underneath the bed frame for me to store more bins underneath there. And he also fixed all the glass that was smashed on the bus for us. So shout out to those 2 guys that really helped a lot in terms of getting this bus into a livable situation for us. So, and then other than that, at the very back of the bus, there's shelving that's already built in. So there's shelving all over the place. This thing was already camperized. Like I said, it's got curtains, lots of storage. I had another countertop put in here up at the front so I can have a better cutting board area. Lots of light all the way around.
So it doesn't run the bus.
Well, we're going to get a fuel pump. We need to get a new fuel pump and we need to get new tires. So it's not really safe to drive on these tires, especially to where we're going because it's a very big mountain pass. So we're putting it on a flatbed in order to get it there safely. I can't even imagine what a set of tires is going to cost for this bus. But fortunately, we have a diesel mechanic out in the area. So once it's parked out there, yes, the intention is to have this bus moving as a sound recording studio as well. So we have 2 businesses we'd like to start operating from the land once we've settled down. And that's one of them is retrofitting campers for people to do the off-grid things. So if it's like you want what kind, maybe they already have something that can be renovated and changed into an off-grid situation, or they hire us just to do the whole thing. But more of an artistic, sort of wacky and wonderful and creative. So they're not just going to be an RV. They're going to be like a gypsy caravan sort of thing with lots of art and, lots of weird and wonderful, beautiful things because the world could use some more beauty, I say.
Yeah, definitely could.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. So that's
definitely could.
the one business model that we'd like to approach is that, retrofitting campers or teaching people how to do what I'm doing. And that's why I'm going through it. You got to learn from the steps and go through the experience yourself. Be a model for it, and then do it. And then we don't want to be totally stationary all the time. We'd like to travel. We want to drive down to our land in Mexico as well. And travel and do music with people as we are on the road. So we'll have a recording studio in the bus where we can record on location, different places. We've already did that when we were, we had DJ turntables in a backpack last time, and we were doing pop-up sets on beaches and volcanoes and all that sort of thing. So we want to take that off of our backs and into a vehicle, and then also be able to highlight musicians that maybe never have the opportunity to do any recording at all, right? You can come on the bus, do some recording. We could sample their music, mix it into sets. So those are a couple of the visions that we have for the future. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds class. Um, yeah. So you mentioned right to this lifestyle. How does your planting choice for your new location? That obviously has to be governed by your lifestyle. So what have you been having any thoughts on that?
You're talking about plants, like my plant choice?
Well, you can't. You're hardly going to run a market garden, are you? Because you intend
Mm.
to travel and you intend to not be there. So like the things need maintenance. So I can't
Mm-hmm.
imagine you running a market garden which takes several hours a week.
Yeah,
So I think it's more toward perennials and a small
yeah,
vegetable patch.
yeah. It's not going to be like conjunction gardens where I was doing, that a number of years ago, where we were doing the grocery bag drop offs. That was a huge annual garden. There was an orchard there too, but in this situation, the place where we are, they already have a community garden model. So anybody that's joining in the community, if you put in one day's work, you can eat from the garden. And
Oh,
it's
class.
huge. It's huge. And everybody just, you can plant whatever. There's plenty of space. It's already watered. So you just take part in maintaining it. And there's all the vegetables you can imagine. They have a salsa house with hot peppers and basil in it. There's many gardens around the property with different functions. There's ducks, there's chickens, there's pigs. So we have fresh eggs. We have smoked bacon that they're making on
Oh,
site.
lovely.
Yeah, they've got a store as well. So Betty, who owns the land or part of the land, she also owns the natural food store in town. So she's able to source a lot of things, and they have a store already where they're operating and selling the meats that they are producing themselves, their sausages, their bacon, and all of that. So it's not necessary that each person in the community has their own garden. There's the better effort is to combine it because they've been growing soil there for many years. It's a very mountainous area, so it's very mineral rich and very rocky. So they've been having to grow their soil, build soil for many years. I've watched them with hugelkultures and, just building and building and building and bringing in biomass. They had a composting program at the store even where they were bringing people could bring their compost from town and they would haul it out to their land. They were feeding it to the chickens and then making soil with the chicken manure. So now they're doing that as well with the pigs. So they have lots of soil that they've been making. And then they have the designated garden areas. So I brought my perennial garden, my little orchard that I've been moving from my parents' place to my place to now out there. I brought it just before I moved, and I put some of it in the ground in the rows where they already have orchard trees. So anything that maybe didn't survive, we found some spots where things would go well. And then I still have about 3/4 of them that are potted. We just didn't want to make a rush decision to get them in the ground. We wanted to spend some more time about thinking about their proper placement because I was kind of on a time pinch, and anytime you rush anything, it's kind of an act of violence in my mind. So we'll take the slow and steady solution. And
Um,
once I'm on the land and I have more time, we can put better thought into the placement amongst the many gardens that there are where all the plants I brought could go. And they're all perennial berry bushes and hops and grapes and things like that.
yeah, no, that's class. Slow and steady. Ones there is.
Yeah.
Uh, But well, I had a thought there. What about bears and moose and animal pressure?
Yeah, they have
Uh,
two very, very large dogs, Odie and Phoenix. They're massive and they are fearless and loud. So any sign of any wildlife, Phoenix is out there barking, barking, you know. They really haven't had animal pressure on the land, which is, I think, surprising because they're very remote, really. We back on to the fountain of youth coming off of a mountain, and it's just, you doesn't look like you have any neighbors, right? You're just looking out into thicket, wild forest as far as the eyes can see, and all the way down the valley of mountains, right? So, but I've never seen any bear or deer on their property. So maybe they have, but really they don't have a whole bunch of infrastructure to protect anything like that. So I think their model, they considered keeping everything very close to, of course, where the house is and where they are and where the dogs are. And the dogs have a perimeter that they're allowed to go. So they're the ones that actually have fencing so that they can keep the dogs out of, they have B&B rentals and glamping and camping. So they don't want the dogs going up to where people are renting their tent sites. So the dogs are actually the only wildlife that are limited that I could think. Of course, the pigs have their own space, but they have electric fencing and they move the pigs around a lot. The ducks go wherever they want. The quackers are like all over the place. They just walk wherever they want. The chickens, they live in a school bus like me. Yeah. So there's a school bus, it's full of chickens. They've got their own fenced off area, and that's where all the compost and a lot of the compost is thrown to the chickens there. But it's all kind of centralized where the people are. Right. So it's a pretty big land. It's over 140 acres. But all the food production, all the animals are all kind of close in this little village where the proximity to the community kitchen and the dome and all the gardens are all there. Yeah, they're permaculturalists themselves, so they know what they're doing.
yeah, no, it sounds class. You're very lucky to find somewhere like that.
Yeah, I've been watching them grow for many, many years. I didn't know that I'd be ending up there, but the more that I thought about getting land on my own, the less it made sense, right? Not only because I'm only there half the year, but I can't imagine trying to do all of the work myself. Right? Maintain the household, clear the snow or clear the roads or manage the pumps. There's just so much to do. And I've had that some homestead experience to know you can work from morning to night and the work is never done when you're just on your own out there in the woods. And I do know a lot of bachelors that love that lifestyle. They're out there living by themselves and the work is never done. There's always this, there's a lot of accumulation of all the things that you can get for projects you're going to have and all these things you're going to do. So it's very easy to kind of disappear and become a hermit like that. I felt like I was better off joining community for my own mental wellness and for the connectivity and the potential of learning how to have new skills. I'm really looking forward to learning about heavy equipment, operating heavy equipment, building ponds, getting doing more carpentry, all these things I'm really excited to do. Get my hands in the dirt more, less computer.
Yeah, no, I think it's great that these places exist. Um, but like the list of jobs, even here, for me on less than 1/10 of an acre, and just life, like there's always a list to do, and you get through one list and the next list pops up. That's just the way it is. But I like that model of you can just sort of embed yourself in a community, contribute while you're there, and then you can take off for 6 months when the bad weather comes.
Yeah, we can support each other, right? Because
Yeah,
right now the current landowners, it's pretty difficult for them to get away, right? Because there is so much going on. They have woofers on the land. They hire seasonal helpers that'll come manage the farm and help manage the B&B rentals. But to be able to have a group of people watching out for each other's things, so I think that's a wonderful model, right? Then nobody's tied to the land and not able to leave.
So this brings us on to like social permaculture. Are they practicing social permaculture like in a formal sense there?
Like sociocracy?
Yeah, things like that. Decision making, do they have decision making things
Yeah.
involved, or is it like a dictatorship that here's the rules and you abide by them?
Yeah, no, it's the sociocracy model is what
Uh,
they'd like to operate from. I'm really the guinea pig on this project. I've helped them define their business plan, their investor possibilities, and help them really outline all the things that they need to consider to start creating these sorts of agreements or with people. So the sociocracy model is something that they're leaning towards for sure. But to see it in practice, right? I've heard a lot of people want to try this, but does it work? I don't know. So we've had some meetings just between us over the years in sort of like a miniature sociocratic way. More of I For me, I feel like it's drawing upon traditional ways of communication with the talking stick, everybody taking a turn, everybody showing up as they are and being raw and honest about who they are and taking accountability for their own stuff, we'll say. So, but as far as like, growing and growing and bigger, like, what does this look like? Well, I'm just going to go through it and find out.
yeah, I can imagine it's very challenging. I had Alfred Decker on talking about it. He's lived in many intentional communities. I'll leave the link at discussion below. But for me, the problem, it's not a problem. As long as people are putting their shoulder to the wheel, I think it works. If everybody's putting their shoulder to the wheel and everybody's trying just as hard, but when you get people who just like, I don't know, if you're running the chicken shack, I don't need to have an input into the chickens. Well, I shouldn't have my say. It's like if I'm running the pigs, well, I should just run the pigs. Obviously, we tie into a greater community, but I don't know. That's I don't
Yeah.
know if that makes sense or not.
I absolutely
uh,
agree with that sort of thing,
uh,
and poor whoever decided Karen was the word that we were going to use, but like complainers and all of that sort of
uh,
thing. We just gotta, how do you even eliminate that? Like, we all know that with permaculture, like, people are the trickiest part.
yeah.
Really, I like what you say with your shoulder to the wind. I think it'd be clever to
Show,
come
show,
up with.
it's the wheel, shoulder to wheel. It's like pushing a car.
Okay, yeah,
So if you could be like pushing a bus, no.
yeah,
If you're not pushing as hard as humans pushing, you've got a
yeah,
problem. You end up going
yeah,
round in circles. You end up going round in circles. Yeah.
yeah. And it
Uh,
may be like, is there a model for that? Maybe our audience knows. Is there a simple model for that? People are so complex.
yeah.
But the one thing I really like is the prospect that one of the landowners, her focus is about self-awareness and communication. So it's really important for her to highlight that as part of the project. And then her partner is very concerned with self-responsibility and what is right. Doing what is right for the good of all, sort of thing. So they both have this focus towards what you need to concentrate on to be able to work together as community. But as far as knowing what it's going to look like in practice, that's another part of this journey. This is a huge leap of faith. And you don't know unless you try it. So, yeah, if anybody has any suggestions towards community models that are working for you and how you've organized, share it with us.
Yeah. I like the idea of having, say, 10 different places with 10 different models, and you can experience them all and you can pick what you like. No,
Yeah.
if you want to talk things to death, go to this community. And if you want to,
Right.
and being open and honest. So you have you can be sent not a list of rules, but like a philosophy or an outlook or what their goals are, what they want, what's important to them, and if that's what you think that you resonate with, the way you go to that one.
Yeah.
So having healthy competition, having different things for different people.
Yeah. And then knowing what time commitments are and what community contributions are expected. Some communities you have to go to, maybe there's a meeting every week, right? Or a potluck every week, or maybe it's just once a month, or, maybe there's a certain number of hours that you're required to contribute. So having that all outlined is, I think, very beneficial. And then there's no pop-up surprises. But I think personal freedom is also really important too. So that can be a slippery slope as well.
Yeah, yeah, people.
Yeah.
uh, right. So on the technical side, there's a couple things I wanted to talk to you about. Was the you mentioned VR and the art? How does that work?
Yeah. The VR headset that we have. I'm not really sure which company that, because those are Humans goggles that we got, but basically we got an app that goes with the VR goggles. We had done a whole bunch of 3D mapping when we were gone down south, and we did botanical gardens, we did butterfly gardens to show like a 3D model of these places that we were. But one of the things that we can do with it is I can take the drawings that I've done, my 2D illustrations, and I can put it in the app on the VR so that when I put the VR glasses on, my illustration is then blown up to whatever scale that I want on the wall that I'm painting. So if I'm, doing a really big mural, I can take a drawing that's an 8 by 11 and make it as big as I want. So that's something that I'd like to do with the bus is take some of those quirky drawings that I've been doing, because they're just really fun and weird and just silly. I'm just looking forward to like bringing these imaginary worlds out for other people to see, right? They're hidden in a sketchbook right now. So getting them really big and blown up on the bus, I think will be impactful. And then having them on sea cans and things like that. There's lots of sea cans that are just ugly, right? So it's an opportunity where I can take my drawings to another level, larger, larger than life, and out there for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, well, that sounds cool. And then, do you want to talk about the power system for
Sure,
the
we
bus?
could talk. Yeah, this has actually been kind of a nightmare for me. So, just to give everybody a little peek into the reality of getting your system set up, if you're thinking about doing something like this, I gave myself over a month and a half to have my systems in place, and I still don't have my solar power components all together. So, we have a system from Blue Eddy. We already had it that we were running off of our truck so that we had power bank that would plug into the alternator in our truck and charge our battery. So we've had that for a year now, just for our turntables and our DJ setup, so that we could do pop-up sets out of the back of the truck. So we needed to get an expansion pack for that so that we could have more storage of power. And we needed to get solar panels as well, because we didn't have solar panels to go to it. It was being charged by the truck's alternator. So now we've got 500-watt panels, and I bought the extension pack, but when I got it, it was cracked on both sides. So it only got picked up today. That was 3 weeks ago. I've kind of been talking with them back and forth about, hey, this is cracked. I paid quite a lot of money for it. So they shipped another unit, and somehow they shipped it to an address I lived at 2 houses ago. I also found that out today. So, just
Right.
weird shipping things, just taking way longer than expected. I tried to avoid some of the problems that I'm having by talking to a human when I was ordering, but it still didn't work out. So, getting the proper cable that will go from the 500-watt panels to our original battery bank. The first thing that was suggested we don't have. blah, blah, blah. So getting all those pieces, solar is notorious for that. Components all over the place, not all from one distributor. And of course, we're looking to source in Canada now that tariffs are kind of make it ridiculous for us to even think about ordering outside of our borders. So yeah, Blue Eddy's who I'm working with, but it hasn't been the smoothest experience. I was hoping to reach out to some of these companies to be, a brand ambassador. But it makes it tricky when you don't have the best experience trying to get started. So, so that's our power. And, I have a fuse box in this bus because of all the fridge and everything that's here. So I could technically run off of that, but I'm not planning to. That's just gonna sit there. It's kind of better to use if we're somewhere where you can just plug in at a campground for that fuse box. But I'll be running off of that solar. It takes me 6 hours to charge the whole thing. And it should give me more power than I need because I'm not running a lot of things. My computer doesn't take all that much energy. And I don't plan on being inside with power on and things like that for long periods of time either. So the cooler that we got is an Anchor Solix Everfrost 2. It's a 58-liter rolling cooler. I could show you, but it doesn't really do your listeners much justice. But, 58 liters. It's the biggest one we could get. It has 2 different components. So you have a fridge and you have a cooler, and they're both individually. You can control them. So you can have a freezer, and then just a cooler. I was surprised that the size of the boxes that are in it are actually quite small for how massive the unit is. I think a lot of that space is devoted to battery storage. We did buy extra batteries so that, we get, I think, 3 days out of one battery. So we have 3 batteries. Those can all be charged off of our solar unit. And then you plug them into the Anchor Solix, and it's really quiet. There's a fan in the lid. It opens from the top and just kind of blows down as soon as you close it. There's a little app that goes with your phone to control it. So you can kind of check in on your cooler to see if everything's okay there. So that's the power for that. And then, like I said, the water pump, the hot water on demand, I had ordered it over a month ago, and it's just been on back order for so long from Jewel Co. So I'll have more to talk about that once I actually have it. But until then, I'll probably get myself a solar bag, or I'll just find some scrap black PVC and put a tube on the roof or something. There's quite a lot of materials out there. It's called Apocalyptic Alley that I'll be able to probably route through to do some makeshift projects. Yeah, if anybody has suggestions that they want to throw out in our chat on products that they think are great, hit us up and let us know, because I'm just going with what Human really suggested as per what we already had and what we need for the future. So I leaned a lot on him. So thank you, Human, for doing all that research into what units we need, right? Because it's really dependent on how many people you have, how much power you're running, and he has a pretty good sense of that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about, but at least you'll be able to test these things out now. I did see a cool thing where you just get the metal bit of an IBC tank, and then they ran copper pipe or like hose through it, and then they just started a compost heap.
Yeah.
And then just they were able to get a 2-minute shower at so many degrees just from running the water through whatever water they had through it. So it was like more than enough for a shower.
Oh.
And then there's just something that you say, putting pipes on the roof, just painting them black.
Yeah.
Is enough as well. Yeah, no, that's there's a lot of things to think about. I do watch these vans. So the Blue Yeti can charge from your car. It can charge from the solar. It can also charge from a mains plug. So if you have got, you could take that over if you were stuck and plug it into somebody else's electric supply.
Mm.
So it is very versatile, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So I think it's just the ordering just has been bumpy.
yeah, but as you say, the tariffs, big impact. You can't just phone up and ship somewhere from the US.
No. Not
No.
anymore. Oh.
No, sir. How long's Trump left? Couple of years.
Who knows?
uh,
Yeah, another thing we're thinking too is Human made me for my birthday gift last year a fire pit out of a keg. So another idea is to do the copper wire around barrel fire. So that's
yeah,
another way that we could do the hot water. Right, there's a lot of fire bans up here right now, so you're not really allowed to have open fires. But something small and contained like that, I can probably manage as long as it's in the barrel and down low. Might
and
be a
nobody
good
can see the
option for.
flame.
Yeah, you're
uh,
allowed to have like propane fires when there's fire bans. They say you can have a propane fire. So a lot of people in Canada they buy these propane fire pits because camping just isn't camping without a fire. So they buy these propane units and they say that the flame can't be any bigger than your hand. So that's how small the flame has to be. But people will buy those just for that ambience and to feel like they have their fire while they're camping. The fires have been crazy up here, as I'm sure everybody realizes. They're everywhere in the world.
yeah, that's a whole other podcast. But it's a
Yeah,
primeval feeling though, sitting around a fire when you're outside.
right?
Yeah, it's just it is the glow. Uh,
Yeah.
so you're still doing permaculture designs throughout all this, just to reiterate, everyone. I know Lindsay's busy, but they're still doing designs.
Yeah.
She can get a design at Permaculture Canada at World. Make sure you say you found her on the podcast. Uh, and you're off traveling. You're going to Iceland.
Going to Iceland less than a week away. Yep. I'm going to be speaking on permaculture and how to be an observer from a permaculture perspective, how to connect back to the land and give some people some tools and practices that they can utilize to look at the lands that they are at and how they can start to read the story that's written in the landscape. So that's the talk that I'm going to be doing. I'm on Aurora stage at 3:30 on Thursday in Iceland, which is pretty amazing. It's for the Eclipse Festival. There's going to be scientists there and comedians and musicians and all sorts of. There's 200 presenters, so there's quite a lot of content going on there. So we'll be there for a week. And then, yeah, lining up to do a GoFundMe campaign to go to Thailand in November. There's quite a lot of cost involved with that. And with these permaculture convergences, they really say to lean on your community, get some support to get you there because there's representatives from all over the world meeting there as this convergence is happening. So, yeah, if you want to support my GoFundMe campaign, that's the link right there. That would be much appreciated. It's going to cost about $5,000 to get down there, but will give me an opportunity to also meet permaculturalists from all over the world and go learn how to build with bamboo out at a farm just outside of Bangkok. So that one's held. The conference portion is held at the Museum of Architecture in Bangkok. And then there's a farm just outside of Bangkok where they're going to do a 5-day bamboo building course. And that's where I'm speaking as well. So yeah.
Class, and I take it that's the proper, really sort of the big bamboo.
Yeah, I'll learn all about
uh,
it.
Class. Yeah, I'd love to be going myself, but yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There'll be more of them.
yeah.
And
It's just
both.
Thailand. I spent a year in Thailand,
Wow.
2008. Uh, so it was yeah, I loved it. So I definitely the food's unbelievable.
Yeah, you'll have to
Uh,
send me some places to hit up and go.
I never went to Bangkok. We were to fly out of Bangkok home, but then what happened was there was a protests and a coup,
Mm.
so we had to change our flights. Then and I was in Phuket for a year, and
Mm.
so I could tell you about Phuket, but that's like a maybe an hour flight away, 2 hours flight away from Bangkok. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's a fantastic country. I loved it.
Awesome. Yeah, and both
Uh,
those festivals are traveling, which is interesting. Like the Iceland eclipse is wherever the eclipses are. So the next
yeah,
one will be in Egypt. And then the permaculture convergences too, they move around the world. Hmm.
yeah. I'm hoping it's going to be in Europe soon because it was in. I think it was in Taiwan last year.
Hmm.
Can't remember it was. I think they took a break as well during COVID.
Yeah.
Um, you see how that nonsense panned out this week?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. Are you
Yeah.
talking about news?
Yeah, I tend to avoid it myself, but it was just I've seen a lot of posts on TikTok and stuff about what's happened, and it's just like I know.
Yeah, before
So
we go too, I got to give one shout out too. I gave the shout outs to the others that helped me with the bus construction, but I also wanted to give a shout out to Ron Snodden, who is my previous neighbor, who actually contacted me today to let me know that my solar unit is there 2 houses ago, sort of thing. So I just thought it was, not only synchronous that he had texted me and said, "Hey, there's a package here for you and it's massive." I don't know how they got that address, is beyond me. FedEx must have just had it in their system and decided I still live there. But it just kind of highlighted for me the importance of community because I actually do know my neighbors. So I was able to, I was texting with the neighbor from this last house saying, "Hey, Vince, is there a package at that house?" And he's like, "Nope." And then Ron reached out and said, "Hey, it's over at this house." So shout out to community. That's a value in knowing your neighbors.
yeah, it was super important. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I've annoyed my neighbor. Well, not annoyed him. He didn't even realize, but my bamboo has sneaked under the fence over
Oh,
to his
yeah.
yard.
Oh, man, that bamboo. You gotta be
So
careful with that stuff.
yeah, I'm about to dig it all out, and I'm going to have plenty of bamboo sticks over the next few years because I'm not putting it back in.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just too
that stuff will
much.
go through foundations and everything.
Yeah, so I'm about to dig it out. Well, this week now because it's
Yeah.
been raining all week, but I'm just digging. I'm cutting it all, just digging the whole thing out because I can't be digging it up every 2 or 3 years to thin it out. It's in a wee. I have it in a wee like a wee small bamboo garden with it. It's not worth the hassle.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully it hasn't. It's lifted my patio last year and this year, and hopefully it hasn't ran to the house or I'm deep trouble.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn a lot more about bamboo because I haven't grown it. It was on Vancouver Island where I had my first child. Lots of bamboo out there because it's zone 8 for Canada, but definitely not here in the mainlands of Alberta. There's not a lot of bamboo growing here. But with all the travel that we're doing in all these tropical countries, I'm really excited to learn another building method that we can use down there.
Class. So guys, that's the GoFundMe link. If you could give Lindsay a hand and represent Canada in Thailand. Lindsay, anything we haven't covered?
Hmm.
I think that's
I don't think so. I think we got everything that was on my list. You were spot on with those questions. Oh yeah, I got one more shout out. One more shout out to Highfield Farms because that's where I am right now. Is Highfield Farms? It's a inner city 17-acre regenerative farm project that's here in Calgary, Alberta. Sadly, they're having to close their doors because the city of Calgary has decided that this would be better suited as a giant parking lot for buses. Go figure. Go pave paradise.
no.
Put up a parking lot. So but Highfield Farms, I just want to let people know this was a project that was city funded. They've got a massive greenhouse they were able to get funding to build. They have a soil compost club here. I'm staring at somebody's private strawberry operation. They built a little hut. It looks like there's a mycology farm involved in that. They've got all these strawberries. They just built this whole house with a patio around it. They're always here with their kids. There's been a number of projects here with rainwater capture. The whole barrier of the farm is mulch. So they had people coming, dropping off their wood to be chipped and turned into mulch. They're now giving it all away because they have to get rid of everything here.
That's
But
that's a son.
yeah,
That's a
we've been,
mortal son. Like that's shocking.
oh yeah, it's a lot of work that they've done here. It's been really community generated. We've had all sorts of gatherings here. We've had DJs and we've had like soup competitions and roller skate, like roller rinks put up. And our friend Sky, he had his bus out here. It was kind of a community project a lot of us were part of. So we'd throw parties that for communities as well. There's just time. There's arts for children. There's mazes. You could come out here and do whatever dream projects. So I just want to give them a shout out and a big thanks because they allowed us to have the bus here to get all the work done that we needed to get done. And they provided that home for us. So I'd like to thank them for all the work that they did to try to build something wonderful for Calgary community. I'm happy it lasted as long as it did, but it's really sad that they've got to close their doors. Permaculture Calgary Guild runs out of here as well. Seed trades, all that sort of thing. So they're going to be losing a very sweet space here in the city. Yeah, there. Now we
And
got it
turn on
all.
the car park.
Turn on the hill.
That turn it on the car park.
Yeah, they're just going to put a whole bunch of C train and buses and stuff. They're just going to bulldoze it. And it's all, it's a forest. Like there's big trees here everywhere. But they're doing that all over Calgary. They took down one of the most historical forests to put in our new stadium. And they took a 3D scan of one of the trees that was planted by the Indigenous. And they're putting a 3D scan of this tree in a gallery. It's just messed up.
So
Yeah.
I thought Canada was very liberal place that was environmentally conscious.
Yeah, I don't know. Liberal has a different connotation these days in my mind.
That's to me that's crazy. We're up about 17 acres. They park buses like it's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even comment on that. Like it's just there's just so much dissonance. I like to just focus on, spreading the word of the kind
Yeah.
of work that we want to see in the world.
So on a positive note to finish, you'll find Lindsay in Iceland, and you'll find her at Thailand hopefully when this GoFundMe is funded. And you can also reach out to permaculturecanada.world. And if you're looking for design or help or consultancy, now permaculture, soon to be living off grid.
You betcha. Yeah, follow my
Lindsay,
journey.
any other links you want to share there before we head off?
You got the Permaculture Canada is on all the things. We have a YouTube channel. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're on all the things. So that's a great one. As far as the music and that, all those sorts of links, those will come. You can follow me at Free Queen She if you like. It's one of my other aliases. It's kind of encompassing all my creative works at Free Queen She, because that's my frequency. All the things I do. So that's another one I suppose you could throw down.
Great stuff. And for us, we have a community over in school. Basically, we have a chat every Friday night. Everybody over the summer, it's every 2 weeks, where we get together, 2 or 3 of us, chat permaculture, which has been really cool. I've learned about other people's projects, getting to know people. So you have a chance now while the group's low to get out on the ground and get to know us more. We will be going uh, different models later on, but if you come over now, it's great. You're able to chat and you get to meet people. There's free courses over there on permaculture, and that's where we're sort of hanging out these days.
Mhm.
uh, Lindsay, thank you very much. It's been great to hear from you and all that exciting stuff.
Yeah.
We're getting the eclipse here like 90 odd percent. Uh, so it won't be too far from you. Uh,
Oh,
Lindsay, thank you. And guys, that's been the Permaculture Fine podcast, and we will hopefully not have to wait a month again. I need to get on the ball and get some episodes out.
well, thank you
But
so much for having this
uh,
conversation with me, Cormac. I think it's great
uh,
that people can see that, just the different parts of actually going off grid, what it actually takes. So it's nice to get this little before, hear a bit about it, and then, next time we have our podcast, it'll be after, and I'll be on the land.
well, are you doing any YouTube videos wise about the journey?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of videos every day, and I'm going to be doing a lot more videos just to help with the fundraising efforts to get to Thailand because it's definitely needed.
That's great. Well, I'm looking forward to watching them. I love van building videos and just building
Yeah,
videos in general, just seeing the progress.
just
Uh,
everything, all the little bits, right?
yeah, no, it's class. I'm hoping they do some myself, but it's like everything, it's on the list.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm going to have a pretty big focus on that. So for me, it's just the backlog of video content that I have to actually get posted. It's the one a day. So I think it'll be a lot easier to do that when I'm not in the city and I don't have a huge overhead and feel like I have to work like a dog.
Yeah, it's always a problem. Lindsay, thanks very much, and
Okay,
thanks
thank
for
you.
listening, people. We'll see chat these next week, hopefully.
Yeah.